What if everything we think we know about ancient civilizations is missing a crucial piece of the puzzle? Hidden beneath layers of time, buried within crumbling ruins and forgotten cities, lie mysteries so baffling they challenge our understanding of history itself. From towering megaliths that seem to defy the engineering capabilities of their time, to intricate artifacts that hint at knowledge lost for millennia, these enigmas whisper questions that still have no answers. Today, we're setting off on a journey to uncover 25 of the most astonishing unexplained phenomena found in ancient ruins discoveries that have left even the most seasoned experts scratching their heads in wonder. Picture standing in the shadow of a structure so precisely crafted, so impossibly aligned with the stars that modern technology struggles to replicate its perfection. Or holding an artifact so out of place, it feels like it was dropped into history from another time entirely. These aren't scenes from a fantasy novel. They're real, tangible remnants of civilizations long gone, yet somehow still speaking to us across the centuries. What were they trying to tell us? Were these marvels the work of advanced knowledge we've yet to rediscover, or something even more mysterious? The deeper we dig, the more these ancient sites seem to guard their secrets fiercely, as if daring us to unravel their truths. This isn't just about stones and carvings, it's about the human story. It's about the ingenuity, the ambition, and yes, the mysteries that connect us to those who walked this earth thousands of years before us. Every unexplained phenomenon we explore today is a thread in that vast, intricate tapestry, pulling us closer to understanding not just them but ourselves. So come along as we step into the unknown, where history and mystery collide, and where every discovery raises as many questions as it answers. By the end, you might just see the ancient world and our place in it in a whole new light. One of the most jaw-dropping artifacts ever pulled from the depths of the sea is the Antikythera Mechanism, a corroded bronze box that shattered our assumptions about ancient technology. Discovered in a 2,000-year-old shipwreck off the coast of Greece in 1901, this intricate device was initially dismissed as just another artifact. But when researchers peered inside, they found something astonishing. A complex system of interlocking gears, precision cut like the workings of a modern clock. This wasn't just a tool, it was a mechanical computer capable of predicting lunar eclipses, tracking the cycles of the Olympic Games, and even modeling the irregular motions of planets with eerie accuracy. What makes the Antikythera Mechanism so baffling is that nothing like it appears in historical records for over 1,000 years after its creation. The level of engineering suggests a mastery of astronomy and mechanics that seems to vanish from history completely, until similar devices resurface in medieval Europe. Who built it? Some scholars point to the legendary inventor Archimedes, whose lost manuscripts hint at celestial machines. Others believe it was the work of an unknown genius, a workshop of artisans whose knowledge was lost when their civilization crumbled. The real mystery isn't just how it worked, but why this technology disappeared. Was it a closely guarded secret, destroyed in wars or forgotten in the collapse of ancient empires? Or did the knowledge survive in fragments, passed down in whispers until it was rediscovered centuries later? When you hold a replica of the Antikythera Mechanism, feeling the weight of those tiny, delicate gears, it's impossible not to wonder what else did the ancients know that we've yet to uncover. While the Antikythera Mechanism reveals the astonishing mechanical genius of the ancient world, another mystery defies understanding not through machinery but through language, or rather the lack of it. Imagine holding a book where every single page is filled with elegant, looping script that no one alive today can read. Its pages bloom with illustrations of plants that don't exist, charts of unknown stars, and women bathing in strange green liquid. This isn't fiction, it's the Voynich Manuscript, a 200-page puzzle that's resisted every attempt at decipherment for over 6 centuries. discovered in 1912 by a rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich. This enigmatic text has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, likely created between 1404 and 1438. But that's where the certainties end. The writing system, nicknamed Voynichese, shows patterns consistent with a real language, yet it doesn't match any known alphabet, cipher, or code. Over the years, everyone from elite cryptographers during World War II to modern artificial intelligence programs have tried cracking it with no success. Some believe it could hold lost medicinal knowledge given its detailed herbal drawings, while others speculate it's an elaborate hoax. What makes the manuscript so haunting is its tantalizing familiarity. The botanical illustrations are meticulous, almost scientific, yet none of the plants correspond to known species. The astrological diagrams feature zodiac symbols but arrange them in impossible configurations. Even the text follows grammatical rules, with word repetitions and sentence structures that suggest actual meaning. Could it be a sophisticated cipher hiding Renaissance alchemical secrets, a lost language from a forgotten culture? The sheer effort required to create such an elaborate work suggests it wasn't meant to deceive. Someone went to enormous lengths to preserve knowledge they deemed vital. Yet today, its pages remain as silent as the day they were found, challenging us to listen just a little harder, to look a little closer. In a world where we've decoded ancient DNA and sent probes beyond our solar system, the Voynich Manuscript humbles us with a simple truth: some secrets refuse to be told. High above the barren plains of Peru's Nazca Desert, a spectacle unfolds, one invisible to those standing on the ground but breathtakingly clear from the sky. Stretching across nearly 200 square miles, the Nazca Lines are a labyrinth of colossal geoglyphs, some over 1,200 feet long, etched into the earth with such precision they've endured for 2,000 years. These aren't random scratches, they form elaborate designs, spirals, geometric shapes, and towering figures of animals like hummingbirds, monkeys, and even a humanoid often called the astronaut. The sheer scale is staggering. Some lines run arrow straight for miles, defying the natural curves of the terrain, while others curve with a fluidity that seems impossible for a culture without aerial technology. How did the Nazca people create these masterpieces without ever seeing their full grandeur? Archaeologists believe they used simple tools and surveying techniques, staking ropes to plot out designs, removing the dark surface stones to reveal the lighter earth beneath. But the how is trivial compared to the why. Were these sacred pathways for religious processions, aligning with celestial events to mark seasons or honor gods? Some lines point directly to water sources, suggesting they might have been part of a ritual to invoke rain in one of the driest places on Earth. Others propose they were astronomical calendars, mapping solstices or constellations. Then there are the more radical theories. The famous astronaut figure, with its bulbous head and wide eyes, has fueled speculation about ancient contact with extraterrestrials. Could these lines have been landing markers or messages for beings from the stars? While mainstream scholars dismiss this, the mystery deepens when you consider the nearby Palpa lines, which include human-like figures with elongated heads, reminiscent of ancient skulls found in the region. What's most haunting is how the Nazca Lines force us to confront the limits of our understanding. They weren't meant for human eyes, at least not from the ground. So who or what were they meant to communicate with? The desert guards its secrets fiercely, leaving us with a canvas so vast, so deliberate, that it feels less like art and more like a language we've forgotten how to read. Every time a new figure is discovered or a drone reveals a previously hidden pattern, we're reminded that the ancients saw the world, and perhaps the cosmos in ways we're only beginning to imagine. The Great Pyramid of Giza has stood as the ultimate symbol of ancient ingenuity for over 4,500 years, yet we're still finding secrets hidden within its colossal limestone blocks. In 2017, a team of scientists made a breakthrough discovery using cosmic ray muon imaging, a cutting-edge technique that acts like an X-ray for pyramids. What they found sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. Two massive, previously unknown voids lurking deep within the pyramid's heart. One, dubbed the Big Void, stretches nearly 100 feet long above the Grand Gallery, while another, smaller space hides behind the pyramid's iconic chevron-shaped stones on the north face. These aren't just cracks or gaps, their precise shapes and alignments suggest they were intentional features, carefully engineered by the pyramid's builders. But here's where the mystery deepens. Unlike the pyramid's known chambers, the king's and queen's rooms connected by narrow passages, these voids show no signs of entryways or corridors leading to them. Were they sealed off deliberately? Some researchers speculate they could be hidden burial chambers, perhaps holding the undisturbed remains of Pharaoh Khufu himself, whose mummy has never been found. Others propose their structural features, designed to relieve pressure from the pyramid's immense weight or even to serve as symbolic spaces in the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife. Then there's the wild card theory. Could these voids contain artifacts or records from a civilization even older than dynastic Egypt? The technology revealing these spaces is almost as fascinating as the discovery itself. Muon imaging works by tracking subatomic particles from space that penetrate solid objects, leaving traces that map hollow areas. It's the same method that's been used to peer inside volcanoes and nuclear reactors, yet even this advanced tech can't tell us what's inside the voids, only that they exist. The Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities has been cautious, rejecting early requests to drill tiny exploratory holes, fearing damage to the pyramid's integrity. What's most tantalizing is the timing. These voids were hidden for millennia, only revealing themselves now, in an era where we have the tools to detect them but not yet the means to explore them fully. It's as if the pyramid is teasing us, offering just enough of a glimpse to keep us questioning. Every scan, every new muon image brings us closer to answers, or perhaps to even bigger questions. Will these chambers rewrite our understanding of the pyramid's purpose? Or will they remain forever out of reach, the pyramid's final, silent joke on the modern world? One thing's certain, after all these centuries, the Great Pyramid still guards its deepest secrets with the same ruthless efficiency as the day it was built. Buried beneath the sands of modern-day Iraq, an unassuming clay pot might hold the key to rewriting our understanding of ancient technology. Known as the Baghdad Battery, this peculiar artifact consists of a 13-centimeter-long vessel dating back to the Parthian period around 2,000 years ago, but what makes it extraordinary are the contents. Inside sits a copper cylinder, carefully soldered with asphalt to seal an iron rod suspended in its center. When filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine, something remarkable happens. The jar becomes a primitive but functional electrochemical cell, capable of producing around 1 volt of electricity. Archaeologists first uncovered these jars in 1936 near the ancient city of Ctesiphon, and the discovery immediately sparked debate. Could these really be ancient batteries predating the inventions of Alessandro Volta by nearly 2 millennia? Recreations by researchers confirm that the setup works. Modern replicas have successfully generated enough current to electroplate metals like gold onto objects, a technique used in antiquity for gilding jewelry and ornaments. Some even speculate they might have been used for medical purposes, delivering mild electric shocks as a form of early pain relief, much like electric fish were employed in other ancient cultures. Yet skeptics argue the jars may have had more mundane purposes, like storing sacred scrolls or acting as ritual containers. The asphalt seal, they note, would have made accessing any liquid inside cumbersome for frequent use. But if these weren't batteries, why the meticulous copper and iron construction? And why do similar artifacts appear across different dig sites as if part of a standardized design? What's most compelling is the implication. If these were indeed batteries, it suggests a fleeting grasp of electrical principles long before such knowledge was formally documented. Imagine artisans in candlelit workshops harnessing invisible forces to adorn statues with shimmering gold only for the technique to vanish into obscurity, leaving behind these cryptic jars as the sole clue. Whether they powered forgotten technologies or served another purpose entirely, the Baghdad Batteries remind us that history's most fascinating chapters might be written not in grand monuments, but in the quiet, unassuming objects that whisper of genius lost to time. Perched high above the city of Cusco, the fortress of Sacsayhuamán stands as a testament to engineering so precise it borders on the impossible. Its massive zigzagging walls, constructed from limestone boulders weighing up to 200 tons each, are assembled with joints so seamless you couldn't slip a razor blade between them. The stones don't just sit together, they interlock in three-dimensional puzzles with concave surfaces hugging convex edges, some featuring as many as 12 perfectly angled corners. This isn't just mortarless masonry, it's a stonecutter's masterpiece achieved without the use of iron tools, wheels, or even a written language to blueprint the design. What stumps researchers isn't just the precision, but the logistics. How did the Inca, or perhaps a civilization before them, quarry these monoliths from mountains miles away, transport them uphill, and then shape them with such accuracy? Local legends speak of stones softened by a mystical plant, allowing workers to mold them like clay. Modern experiments with concentrated sunlight suggest another possibility: the use of solar tools to heat and fracture rock. Yet even with today's diamond-tipped saws and laser measurements, replicating the tight fits of Sacsayhuamán's walls has proven nearly impossible. The mystery deepens when you consider the purpose. Spanish conquerors assumed it was a military fortress, but its layout suggests something more. The wall's zigzag patterns mirror the constellations worshipped by the Inca, while the terraces align with solstice sunrises. Some theorize it was an astronomical observatory or a ceremonial site for harnessing earthly energy. Its limestone blocks, rich in quartz, might even resonate with sound frequencies. What lingers most is the question of knowledge lost. The Inca inherited Sacsayhuamán from earlier cultures, leaving us to wonder, did they perfect these techniques or were they preserving an even older tradition? When you run your hand along those uncannily smooth joints, you're touching a riddle carved in stone, one that whispers of artisans who might have known the Earth's secrets better than we do today. In the dim glow of an Istanbul library in 1929, a discovery sent shockwaves through the world of cartography, a map unlike any other. Drawn on gazelle skin in 1513 by Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis, this seemingly ordinary nautical chart held an impossible secret. There at the bottom edge lay the coastline of a continent that wouldn't be discovered for another 300 years, Antarctica, but the truly baffling part. The land was depicted not as the ice-bound wilderness we know today, but as a lush, ice-free terrain with flowing rivers and mountain ranges. How could a 16th century navigator chart a continent buried under miles of ice, showing details modern sonar only confirmed in the 20th century? The map's annotations offer eerie clues. Piri Reis credits earlier source maps, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great, claiming they included lands no longer in existence. This raises spine-tingling questions. Could his work be a copy of far older knowledge, preserved from a time when Antarctica was free of ice? Geological evidence suggests the continent was last ice-free around 6,000 years ago, long before recorded human civilization. Mainstream scholars argue the map might depict South America's distorted coastline, pointing to similar-looking promontories, but that doesn't explain why the map accurately places Antarctica's subglacial features, like the Queen Maud Land Mountains, which match modern seismic surveys. Then there's the projection. The Piri Reis map uses a sophisticated spherical trigonometry technique, mathematics that shouldn't have existed in the pre-modern world. Some researchers propose it reflects knowledge passed down from an advanced seafaring culture, perhaps the legendary Minoans or even survivors of a hypothetical pre-Ice Age civilization. Others suggest medieval Arab traders might have pieced together fragments of ancient charts from Alexandria's burned libraries. What lingers like fog over this mystery is the lost context. Piri Reis himself wrote that he compiled the map from 20 different sources, some infidel charts from Columbus's era, others very ancient. Were these references destroyed in wars or purges of heretical knowledge? The map's surviving fragment, just 1/3 of the original, teases us with the possibility that somewhere, buried in an archive or private collection, lie the other pieces of this puzzle. For now, the Piri Reis map remains a haunting whisper from the past, suggesting that history's greatest explorers might have been rediscovering lands our ancestors already knew. In the quiet village of Longyu in Zhejiang Province, China, lies an underground marvel so vast it defies belief: 36 hand-carved caverns spanning an area larger than 4 football fields. Discovered purely by accident in 1992 when a curious villager drained a local pond, these caves revealed walls smoothed to a mirror-like finish, pillars evenly spaced like the ribs of some colossal stone beast, and ceilings bearing uniform tool marks that ripple across the rock in perfect parallel lines. The precision is unnerving. Each grotto maintains a consistent slope, with walls meeting at crisp 90-degree angles, all executed so precisely that deviations measure less than a centimeter across vast sections. The scale of labor involved is almost incomprehensible. Conservative estimates suggest over 1 million cubic meters of stone were chiseled away, enough to fill 40 Olympic swimming pools, using only basic hammers and chisels. Yet not a single tool, scrap of pottery, or written record of this Herculean effort has ever been found. Even stranger, the caves sit just above the water table, meaning their creators had to pump water continuously during construction, a feat requiring coordination and engineering knowledge that shouldn't exist for a project dated vaguely between 500 BC and 200 CE. But the true head-scratcher is why, unlike known ancient quarries, the removed stone wasn't used for nearby construction. No matching material appears in local architecture. The caves show no signs of habitation, storage, or burial. Some theorists propose they were secret military bunkers, though their conspicuous design and lack of defensive features contradict this. Others note that the pillar placements mirror star constellations, suggesting an astronomical purpose. Then there's the acoustics. Certain chambers amplify sound eerily, with tested frequencies causing water to vibrate in patterns that hint at possible ritual use. Most haunting is the abrupt abandonment. Tools would have been precious, yet none were left behind. No rubble, no scaffolding holes, not even charcoal marks from torches. It's as if the workers vanished mid-task, taking all evidence of their methods with them. Modern attempts to replicate the techniques using period-appropriate tools have failed miserably. The manpower required would have dwarfed the workforce of entire dynasties. Yet here they stand, these silent, soaring halls, their walls still gleaming under flashlight beams after 2 millennia, guarding their purpose as fiercely as the day they were carved. What drove an ancient people to invest generations in a project so vast, only to walk away without a whisper? The Longyu Caves don't just challenge our understanding of ancient engineering, they force us to question what monumental secrets might still be lying beneath our feet, waiting for the next curious villager to pull back the water and see. Deep in the jungles of Costa Rica's Diquis Delta, an archaeological oddity hides beneath the tangled vines. Massive stone spheres so perfectly round, they seem to defy the tools of their creators. Ranging from a few centimeters to over 2 meters in diameter, with some weighing up to 15 tons, these orbs number in the hundreds across the region, often found in clusters or arranged in geometric patterns. Their surfaces are unnervingly smooth, their curves so precise that modern laser measurements reveal deviations of less than 2 millimeters across entire spheres. How did a pre-Columbian culture, working without metal tools or the wheel, achieve such mathematical perfection? And why? The stone balls first came to light in the 1930s when United Fruit Company workers cleared land for banana plantations, unearthing them in startling numbers. Locals called them Los Bowlers, and while some were moved to decorate government buildings or private gardens, many remain in their original positions, scattered like marbles left behind by giants. Archaeologists trace their origins to the Decquis culture, which thrived between 700 and 1500 CE, but the exact methods of their construction remain debated. Using only stone hammers and fire heating techniques, artisans would have painstakingly pecked away at volcanic gabbro or limestone boulders, rotating them continuously to maintain symmetry. The real marvel lies in how they standardized sizes across vast distances. Spheres, separated by miles, match in diameter with near-identical proportions. Purpose proves even more enigmatic. Some groupings align with solstice sunrises, suggesting celestial calendars. Others form straight lines or triangles, possibly marking territorial boundaries or trade routes. Then there's the most haunting theory. Oral traditions speak of the spheres as God's playthings, tossed from the heavens to guide humans. Modern researchers note that certain arrangements mirror constellations visible during the Decquis era, hinting at a sky map function. Yet with no written records, these ideas remain speculative. What lingers is the unsettling perfection of these objects. Unlike most ancient artifacts which show wear or improvisation, the spheres feel deliberate to the point of obsession. Their creators invested generations in this pursuit, suggesting a cultural imperative we've yet to decipher. Were they offerings to deities, symbols of power, or part of a grand astronomical design? For now, they sit silent in the jungle, their surfaces worn smooth by centuries of rain, their secrets locked in stone. Rising from the dusty plains of southeastern Turkey, the stone circles of Göbekli Tepe force us to rewrite history itself. Dating back 12,000 years, 7 millennia older than Stonehenge, this sprawling complex of massive limestone pillars isn't just ancient. It predates agriculture, metal tools, and even permanent human settlements. Yet here, in what should have been the dawn of hunter-gatherer simplicity, stands a sanctuary of staggering sophistication. Each towering T-shaped pillar, some weighing over 20 tons, is adorned with intricate bas-reliefs of scorpions, foxes, and vultures, their details so sharp they seem freshly carved. The real shock: this wasn't built by a settled civilization. It was created by nomadic peoples who, according to conventional archaeology, shouldn't have had the organization or resources for such a project. What makes Göbekli Tepe a historical paradox is not just its age, but its fate. Around 8200 BCE, someone deliberately buried the entire site under thousands of tons of earth, preserving it like a time capsule. Why would a culture invest generations in constructing something so monumental, only to hide it completely? Some researchers suggest the burial was ritualistic, a death of the sacred site to prevent its desecration. Others propose environmental shifts like drought made the location untenable. But the most tantalizing theory comes from the carvings themselves. Many pillars depict animals in postures of suffering or predation, leading some to speculate the site was linked to a catastrophic event, perhaps a comet impact or climate upheaval recorded in the symbols. The implications ripple far beyond archaeology. If hunter-gatherers built Göbekli Tepe, our entire timeline of social development may be backwards. Instead of agriculture enabling large-scale projects, perhaps communal efforts like temple building drove the need for stable food supplies. The site's alignment with celestial events suggests its creators possessed advanced astronomical knowledge, while the absence of domestic tools hints it was purely ceremonial, a destination for pilgrimages across the prehistoric world. Most haunting is what we haven't found. Only 5% of Göbekli Tepe has been excavated. Beneath the sun-baked soil, 20 more circles likely wait, each potentially holding clues to humanity's forgotten origins. For now, those silent pillars stand as both a monument and a riddle, their animal guardians staring across millennia as if daring us to understand the world they once knew, a world that, by all accounts, shouldn't have existed at all. Standing sentinel on the windswept slopes of Easter Island, the Moai statues have long been icons of mystery, but what most people don't realize is that their famous heads are just the tip of the iceberg. Literally, excavations have revealed that many of these towering figures are actually full-bodied, buried up to their shoulders in centuries of accumulated soil, with intricately carved torsos, arms, and even delicate fingers resting along their sides. Some stretch nearly 33 feet tall underground, their hidden surfaces bearing petroglyphs of crescent symbols and canoe designs that hint at a connection to the ocean. And then there are the enigmatic red hats called pukao, perched atop certain statues like fiery crowns. These cylindrical caps, carved from volcanic scoria, weigh up to 12 tons, each raising the question, how did a society without cranes or pulleys hoist them onto statues already towering multiple stories high? The logistics of moving these monoliths across the island are just as baffling. Oral traditions speak of the statues walking to their platforms with the help of divine intervention, while modern experiments suggest more earthly methods. One theory proposes a rocking motion, teams of workers using ropes to tilt the statues forward in a rhythmic shuffle, leaving behind the distinctive broken fragments found along ancient roads. Another points to wooden sledges gliding over lubricated palm logs, though this would have required vast quantities of timber on an island notoriously deforested by the time Europeans arrived. The most compelling clue might lie in the roads themselves. They're not flat but deliberately sunken, with raised shoulders that could have stabilized the statues during transport. But the deeper mystery isn't just how they moved the Moai, but why. Were these figures ancestral guardians, their backs turned to the sea to watch over villages? The pukao's red pigment, made from iron-rich clay, might symbolize sacred status or even mimic the hair color of revered elders. Some researchers note that the statue's placement aligns with freshwater sources, suggesting a practical role in marking resources. Others see them as part of a broader Polynesian tradition of monumental competition, where rival clans erected ever larger statues to demonstrate power. What lingers is the paradox of their abandonment. Hundreds of Moai were left unfinished in quarries or toppled face down, as if some cataclysmic event, war, famine, ecological collapse, halted their worship mid-ritual. When you stand beside one of these giants, tracing the grooves left by ancient chisels, you're touching not just stone, but the echoes of a society that poured its soul into these creations only to walk away. The Moai's greatest lesson might be this: even the grandest monuments can't outlast the people who believed in them. Carved into the shadowy chambers of Hathor's temple at Dendera, a series of reliefs ignite one of Egyptology's most heated debates. At first glance, they seem to depict surreal scenes, serpentine creatures coiled inside elongated bulbs, their tails connecting to lotus flower sockets, all tethered by cables to what looks like a box gripped by a towering figure. To modern eyes, the resemblance to electrical apparatus is uncanny, so much so that these images have been dubbed the Dendera light bulbs by alternative researchers. Could they be proof that the ancient Egyptians harnessed electricity millennia before its official discovery? Or are we projecting our own technology onto symbols meant for something entirely different? Mainstream Egyptologists offer a compelling counterargument. These reliefs almost certainly represent something far more mystical than mechanical. The bulbs align with known iconography of the Djed pillar, a symbol of stability, and the lotus-born snake god Harsomptus, associated with creation myths. The cables mirror the winding stalks of sacred lilies, while the box resembles the hieroglyph for horizon, tied to solar rebirth. The entire tableau likely illustrates a ritualistic union of celestial and earthly forces, not a technical diagram. And yet the precision gives pause. Why would artists carve such strikingly bulb-like shapes, complete with filament-like serpents, if not inspired by an existing technology? The controversy intensifies when you consider the temple's other oddities. Nearby chambers show traces of bitumen, a material used as insulation in ancient Baghdad batteries. The ceilings bear soot marks inconsistent with torch use, hinting at alternative lighting methods. Even more provocative are the writings of Greek historian Plutarch, who described Egyptian priests using gleaming golden rods to illuminate underground crypts. Could these accounts point to lost electroplating techniques or even primitive arc lights? What makes the Dendera relief so fascinating isn't just the clash of interpretations, it's the cultural context they reveal. If symbolic, they showcase the Egyptians' genius for encoding complex cosmology in art. If technological, they rewrite the history of innovation. Perhaps the truth lies in between, a civilization so attuned to natural forces, static electricity from cat fur, bioluminescent algae, that they ritualized phenomena we'd later harness mechanically. Standing beneath those carvings, you're left with a tantalizing thought. Whether as metaphor or machinery, the ancients saw light in ways we're still struggling to comprehend. In the heart of Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, the ruins of Baalbek stand as a silent challenge to everything we think we know about ancient engineering. Here, nestled among the soaring columns of a Roman temple complex, lies a puzzle that defies conventional wisdom. 3 colossal stone blocks known as the trilithon, each weighing a staggering 800 to 1,000 tons. To put that in perspective, that's heavier than 3 fully loaded Boeing 747 jets combined. But the real showstopper lies just a stone's throw away, the even larger stone of the pregnant woman, an untouched monolith estimated at nearly 1,200 tons, making it the largest single piece of stonework ever attempted in human history. How did ancient builders, whether Roman or an earlier civilization, move and precisely position these titanic slabs? Modern cranes capable of lifting such weights didn't exist until the 21st century, yet these stones were quarried from a site over a kilometer away, then hoisted 20 feet into the air to form the temple's foundation. Roman records are mysteriously silent on the construction techniques, leading to theories ranging from lost anti-gravity technology to sound levitation methods hinted at in obscure myths. More plausible but no less impressive explanations include elaborate ramp systems, counterweight cranes, or even a technique using thousands of laborers pulling the stones on lubricated sledges, methods that would have required coordination rivaling modern megaprojects. What's even more baffling is the precision. The trilithon stones fit together with seams so tight, you can't slide a credit card between them despite their irregular shapes. This wasn't just brute strength, it was geometry mastered on a scale that feels almost superhuman. Some researchers point to the site's possible pre-Roman origins, suggesting the platform might have been built by an older culture like the Phoenicians, whose maritime prowess could have inspired innovative pulley systems. Others note that the stone's arrangement aligns with solstice sunrises, hinting at a purpose beyond mere architecture. Then there's the lingering question of why. Why invest such unimaginable effort in stacking rocks so large? The Roman Jupiter temple built atop these blocks is impressive, but the foundation seems almost over-engineered unless it was meant to support something even grander, now lost to time. Local legends whisper that the site was once a landing place for gods, while geological surveys reveal the quarry stones were chosen for their unique acoustic properties, resonating at frequencies that could amplify rituals or ceremonies. Standing before these megaliths, you're left with 2 equally humbling realizations. Either ancient cultures possessed construction secrets we've yet to rediscover, or they achieved the impossible through sheer will and ingenuity. Either way, Baalbek stones remain a stark reminder that history's greatest triumphs might still be lying in plain sight, daring us to rethink what we're capable of. Off the coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island, in waters so clear you can see straight to the seabed 60 feet below, lies a structure that looks like it was ripped from the pages of a lost civilization myth. Stretching nearly 500 feet long and rising 80 feet from the ocean floor, the Yonaguni monument is a series of massive, terraced stone platforms with edges so sharp, surfaces so flat, and angles so precise, they seem to defy the chaos of natural erosion. Discovered in 1986 by a diver searching for hammerhead shark habitats, this sprawling underwater complex has sparked a debate that pits geologists against archaeologists. Is this the work of nature's patient hand, or proof of a sophisticated culture swallowed by rising seas over 12,000 years ago? The evidence for human craftsmanship is compelling. The monument's most striking feature is its two near-perfect right-angled corners, meeting at 90 degrees with a precision rarely found in nature. Then there's the turtle-shaped platform, a flat-topped block with what appears to be a carved staircase leading to its summit. Nearby, a straight, 60-foot-long corridor runs between towering walls, while circular depressions and what look like tool marks dot the surfaces. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura, who has studied the site for decades, points to these details as clear signs of human modification, particularly the presence of keystone cuts, a technique used in ancient stonemasonry to fit blocks together. But nature has its defenders. Skeptics argue that Yonaguni sandstone is prone to fracturing along natural plains, creating flat surfaces and sharp edges through tectonic shifts and tidal erosion. They note that similar formations exist elsewhere in the region, shaped by the same forces. The monument's location along seismic fault lines adds weight to this theory. Earthquakes could have split the rock into geometric patterns that only coincidentally resemble architecture. Even the staircase might be explained by the way sedimentary layers peel apart under stress, creating stepped ledges. Yet some finds defy easy geological explanations. Sonar scans reveal what appear to be quarry marks and even a relief carving resembling a human face, though these remain hotly contested. More intriguing are the tool-like artifacts recovered nearby, stone implements and pottery fragments dated to between 2,000 and 2,500 years old, suggesting human activity in the area when sea levels were lower. Could Yonaguni have been a coastal settlement or ceremonial site, later submerged by the same rising waters that reshaped coastlines after the last ice age? The mystery deepens when you consider the cultural context. Local legends speak of an ancient kingdom that sank beneath the waves, a story echoed in Okinawan folklore. Even the monument's layout seems intentional. Its terraces align with magnetic north, and its pillars face the sunrise during solstices, suggesting a possible astronomical function. If human-made, the sheer scale implies a society with advanced maritime engineering, capable of moving and shaping multi-ton stone blocks, a skill not attributed to Japan's known ancient cultures. Diving at Yonaguni is like swimming through a Rorschach test. What one researcher sees as a carved altar, another interprets as a quirky rock formation. The monument's power lies in this ambiguity, forcing us to confront how little we understand about Earth's prehistory. Were there thriving coastal civilizations lost to the floods of millennia past? Or are we simply seeing patterns where none exist, projecting our hunger for mystery onto the indifferent work of geology, until a smoking gun or a clearly carved tool mark surfaces? Yonaguni remains one of the ocean's most tantalizing enigmas, a silent sentinel guarding the blurred line between nature's artistry and humanity's forgotten hand. Rising from a rural Georgia hillside like a granite sentinel, the Georgia Guidestone stood as one of the most perplexing modern monuments before their mysterious demolition. Erected in 1980 under equally mysterious circumstances, these 20-foot-tall slabs of polished granite bore 10 principles for humanity engraved in 8 different languages, from English and Swahili to Sanskrit and Babylonian cuneiform. The messages ranged from practical advice like maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, to cryptic commands such as guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. But who commissioned this eerie time capsule for a future civilization? And why did someone feel so threatened by its message that they reduced it to rubble in a 2022 explosion? The stone's origins read like a spy novel. In 1979, a man identifying himself only as R.C. Christian approached a local granite company, paying for the project with cash funneled through untraceable intermediaries. He claimed to represent a small group loyal to the Age of Reason, but refused to reveal their identities or motives. The chosen languages, some ancient, others modern but geographically dispersed, suggested the message was meant to endure across both time and cultures. Even the monument's physical design held secrets, slots aligned with solstice sunrises and a hole drilled to frame Polaris, hinting at celestial knowledge woven into its structure. Reactions to the guidestones fractured wildly. Some saw them as a benevolent roadmap for sustainability, praising their calls for environmental stewardship and rational governance. Others detected something darker. The population control directive sparked conspiracy theories about elite eugenics programs, while the multilingual aspect fueled suspicions of a New World Order manifesto. The stones became a pilgrimage site for both utopians and doomsday preppers, their meanings as debated as their origins were obscure. Then came the explosion. In the pre-dawn hours of July 6, 2022, security cameras caught a blurry figure planting explosives that toppled one monolith before the rest were demolished for safety reasons. No group claimed responsibility, though the timing amid rising cultural tensions and online conspiracy movements felt ominously symbolic. Fragments bearing phrases like "avoid petty laws" now sit in storage, their future uncertain. What lingers isn't just the question of who built the guidestones, but why their destruction provoked more relief than outrage. In a world fracturing along ideological lines, perhaps the stone's greatest sin was holding up a mirror to our deepest fears, that future generations might need instructions because we failed to learn from history ourselves. Their absence now whispers a chilling lesson. Some messages are too dangerous to leave in stone. High in the remote Bayan Ha Mountains of China, a discovery in 1938 sent shockwaves through archaeology, or so the story goes. A team led by Professor Kai Pu-Te allegedly stumbled upon a cave system filled with neatly arranged graves, their skeletal remains belonging to beings with unusually large skulls and spindly limbs. But the real shock lay beside them. Hundreds of stone discs, each roughly a foot in diameter with a hole at the center, their surfaces etched with microscopic spiral grooves that, under magnification, revealed themselves to be an unknown script. The stones became known as the Dropa stones, and their supposed translation would ignite one of archaeology's most enduring controversies, according to a series of sensational claims. Russian linguist Dr. Nui eventually deciphered the discs in the 1960s, revealing an otherworldly narrative. The glyphs allegedly told of a spacecraft crash landing in the mountains 12,000 years ago, its inhabitants the Dropa stranded and unable to repair their vessel. Over time, they interbred with local tribes, their story preserved only in these cryptic stone records. If true, the implications would be staggering. Hard evidence of ancient extraterrestrial contact predating known human civilizations by millennia. But skepticism runs as deep as the mystery itself. No credible photographs of the original discs exist, and the only published images show unmarked stones that could belong to any culture. The Chinese Academy of Sciences has repeatedly denied the existence of either the discs or the linguist Nui, whose name doesn't conform to standard Chinese naming conventions. Mainstream archaeologists point out that the discs closely resemble ancient Chinese jade artifacts used in burial rituals, though none bear inscriptions matching the Dropa legend. Even the original expedition's details are hazy, with Kai Pu-Te's academic records proving elusive. The controversy deepens when tracing the story's evolution. The first Western mention appeared in a 1962 German magazine article, later amplified by Soviet science journals. By the 70s, ufologists were citing the stones as definitive proof of ancient astronauts, while skeptics noted striking similarities to a science fiction story published in Russia years earlier. The few researchers who claimed to have handled fragments described them as porous, sedimentary stone unlikely to preserve fine glyphs for 12 millennia. Today, the Dropa stones exist in a limbo between myth and potential revelation. Some believe they're hidden in Chinese or Russian archives, suppressed for their explosive implications. Others argue the entire tale is an elaborate hoax woven from misunderstood artifacts and Cold War disinformation. Yet the story persists, fueled by a tantalizing question. If even a fraction of the claims are true, these unassuming stones could rewrite human history. Until the originals resurface, if they ever existed at all, the Dropa stones remain a cautionary tale about the lines between archaeology, legend, and our longing to find extraterrestrial fingerprints in humanity's distant past. Stretching across the rugged highlands of northern Laos, the Plain of Jars presents a scene both mesmerizing and haunting. Thousands of stone vessels, some as tall as 9 feet, scattered like forgotten giants across grassy plateaus and mist-shrouded hills. Carved from sandstone, granite, and even coral limestone, these jars weigh up to several tons each, their interiors hollowed out with a precision that suggests more than just practical utility. Most date back 2,000 years to Southeast Asia's Iron Age, yet their origins remain as enigmatic as the civilization that left them behind. Were they burial urns for the dead, storage vessels for fermenting rice wine, or part of elaborate rain-summoning rituals? The answer might lie in the objects found buried beneath them: human bones, ceramic fragments, and glass beads hinting at funeral rites, while local legends whisper of ancient giants who used the jars to brew liquor for victorious warriors. One of the most spine-chilling aspects of this site isn't its mystery, but the very real danger lurking beneath the soil. During the Vietnam War, American forces carpet-bombed Laos in a covert campaign, leaving millions of unexploded ordnance buried across the region, including the jar sites. Today, less than 10% of the plain has been safely cleared for study, meaning archaeologists must navigate a literal minefield to uncover clues. The peril adds a grim irony. These jars, which may have honored the dead, now rest in a landscape where the dead still claim new victims. Yet even with these obstacles, researchers have pieced together fragments of the jar's story. Chemical analysis reveals traces of organic material inside, supporting theories of decomposing bodies or fermented beverages. Some jars are aligned with celestial events, suggesting ceremonial purposes, while others cluster near ancient trade routes, possibly marking waypoints for caravans. The most haunting detail: many lack lids, though stone discs found nearby fit perfectly. Were they removed by later cultures, or intentionally left open to release spirits? Standing among these silent sentinels, you're struck by the duality. They represent monuments to both human ingenuity and the fragility of history. The Plain of Jars doesn't just challenge our understanding of ancient Southeast Asia. It forces us to confront how quickly knowledge can be erased, whether by time's slow erosion or the sudden violence of war. For now, the jars remain stoic in their silence, guarding secrets in a land still healing from the scars of modern conflict. Scattered across the windswept fields of Brittany, France, the Karnak stones form one of the most striking and enigmatic megalithic sites in the world. 3,000 weathered monoliths standing in eerie, parallel rows that stretch for miles like the bones of some ancient giant. Unlike the more famous Stonehenge, these stones aren't arranged in circles but in near-perfect straight lines, some extending over 3,000 feet with an almost military precision. The tallest loom nearly 20 feet high, their surfaces worn smooth by 6,000 years of Atlantic storms, yet their alignment remains stubbornly intact. What purpose could these silent sentinels have served for the Neolithic farmers who painstakingly erected them between 4500 and 3000 BC? The theories are as varied as the stones themselves, each more fascinating than the last. Some researchers see them as a colossal astronomical observatory, their rows pointing toward solstice sunrises or lunar standstills. Certain alignments match the midsummer sunrise, while others frame the position of the moon at its most extreme northern point in its 18.6-year cycle. Others propose a more terrestrial function. These stones might have acted as seismic sensors, arranged to amplify vibrations from distant earthquakes, giving early communities warning of tremors. The local granite, rich in quartz, is naturally piezoelectric, meaning it generates electrical charges under pressure, lending credence to the idea that the site could have harnessed or monitored geological energy. Then there are the legends. Breton folklore paints the stones as a Roman legion turned to stone by the wizard Merlin, a poetic explanation for their regimented formation. More chillingly, local farmers once whispered that disturbing the stones would bring storms or curses, a superstition that may have inadvertently preserved them for millennia. Even the name Karnak hints at deeper layers, derived from the Breton Karn, meaning mound. It suggests the site might have been part of a vast funerary landscape, with the rows guiding spirits toward burial cairns. Modern technology has only deepened the mystery. Ground-penetrating radar reveals that many stones extend far below the surface, their bases shaped like keystones to anchor them against time's pull. Even more intriguing are the newly discovered geoglyphs, long-buried earthworks depicting massive spirals and animal shapes, suggesting the standing stones were just one element of a sprawling ceremonial complex. To walk among the Karnak stones is to feel the weight of unanswered questions pressing in from all sides. Were they a Neolithic school for star priests, a primitive earthquake early warning system, or something beyond our modern frameworks entirely? Unlike solitary megaliths, their power lies in their collective arrangement, a silent chorus of granite, each stone a single note in a song we've yet to decipher. As the sun sets over the alignments, casting elongated shadows that seem to reach toward the horizon, you can't help but wonder if their true purpose wasn't just to mark time or earth, but to teach us how much we've forgotten about the ingenuity of those who came before. Buried in the scorching sands of China's Taklamakan Desert, the Tarim mummies present a genetic riddle that rewrites the story of ancient migration. These remarkably preserved corpses, some dating back 4,000 years, lie with their European features frozen in time, high cheekbones, long noses, and even reddish-brown hair still clinging to their scalps. They wear brightly colored woolen garments, woven in patterns that wouldn't look out of place in Bronze Age Scandinavia, with felted caps and plaid leggings that defy expectations of what ancient Central Asian nomads should look like. How did these distinctly Caucasian people end up thousands of miles from their genetic homeland, in one of the most inhospitable deserts on Earth? The mummies were first uncovered by archaeologists in the 1990s, their bodies naturally mummified by the dry, salty soil of the Tarim Basin. Unlike Egyptian mummies, which were intentionally preserved, these individuals were freeze-dried by the environment, their tattoos still visible and their facial expressions eerily peaceful. One of the most famous, the Beauty of Lulan, wears a delicate felt hat and leather boots, her hands folded as if she'd simply lain down for a nap 4 millennia ago. Genetic testing later confirmed what their appearances hinted at. Their DNA links them to ancient populations from the Black Sea region, not the East Asian groups that dominate the area today. The artifacts buried with them deepen the mystery. Nestled beside the mummies are baskets of wheat and barley, grains first domesticated in the Near East, alongside tiny votive figures with blue eyes carved from wood. Their burial customs, too, feel out of place. Boats covered with cowhide, a practice seen in Viking funerals but utterly alien to the desert. Even their language leaves traces in the form of an Indo-European script called Tocharian, discovered centuries later in nearby Buddhist manuscripts. Scholars are divided on how these wanderers crossed such vast distances. Some propose they were part of an early migration along the steppe route, herding sheep and cattle across the Eurasian grasslands. Others suggest they might have been traders, following Proto-Silk Road networks that connected east and west long before Marco Polo. The most haunting theory posits they were refugees, fleeing climate shifts or warfare in their homeland, only to settle in a land so harsh it preserved their story like a time capsule. What makes the Tarim mummies so compelling isn't just their origins, but their legacy. Despite their foreign roots, they weren't isolated. Recent discoveries show they intermarried with local populations, their descendants blending into the tapestry of Central Asian cultures. Their presence shatters the myth of ancient China as an insular civilization, revealing instead a dynamic crossroads where East and West mingled millennia earlier than we thought. Standing before these serene faces in the museum at Urumqi, you're left with a profound question. How many other lost chapters of human migration still lie buried beneath the dunes, waiting for the desert to give them back their voice? Deep in the heart of Bosnia, beneath the lush green hills of Visoko, lies a claim that has split the archaeological world right down the middle. According to amateur archaeologist Semir Osmanagic, these aren't just ordinary slopes. They're the remnants of the largest pyramids on Earth, dating back over 12,000 years. Dubbed the Bosnian Pyramids, the site allegedly includes structures with perfect geometric alignment, ancient concrete blocks, and even underground tunnels stretching for miles. The implications are staggering if true. These pyramids would rewrite the history of European civilization, suggesting an advanced culture predating the Egyptians by millennia. But is this a genuine archaeological breakthrough or an elaborate fantasy fueled by wishful thinking? The evidence presented by Osmanagic's team is certainly eye-catching. Laser scans and thermal imaging suggest the hills have symmetrical sides aligned with the cardinal directions, much like the pyramids of Giza. Excavations have uncovered stone slabs with smooth, angled surfaces that appear artificially shaped, along with strange energy anomalies detected deep within the tunnels. Some visitors even report feeling unusual vibrations or experiencing heightened spiritual energy at the site. Then there's the so-called Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, rising over 700 feet, nearly a third taller than the Great Pyramid. Could this really be the work of a lost civilization, forgotten by time? Geologists and mainstream archaeologists aren't convinced. They argue that the pyramids are natural formations known as flatirons, a common geological occurrence where erosion exposes the angular edges of sedimentary rock layers. The stone slabs likely just fractured sandstone shaped by millennia of weathering. As for the tunnels, many are believed to be medieval mines or naturally formed karst cavities. They're energy anomalies, possibly caused by underground water flows or mineral deposits. Skeptics point out that no credible artifacts or human remains have been found to support claims of an ancient civilization, and the dating methods used by Osmanagic's team have been widely criticized as scientifically unsound. Yet the controversy refuses to die. Local tourism has boomed, with thousands flocking to Visoko every year, drawn by the allure of a mystery that challenges conventional history. Some researchers, while rejecting the pyramid theory, admit the site holds genuine archaeological value. Medieval artifacts and Roman roads have been discovered nearby, suggesting the area was an important crossroads long before Osmanagic's claims. Others wonder if the truth lies somewhere in between. Perhaps ancient peoples modified natural formations for ceremonial purposes, creating a hybrid of nature and human ingenuity. What makes the Bosnian pyramids so fascinating isn't just the debate over their origins, but what they reveal about our relationship with the past. In a world hungry for lost histories and hidden wonders, sometimes the line between science and speculation blurs. Whether these hills are the work of nature, human hands, or a bit of both, they've undeniably sparked something rare. A reminder that even in an age of satellites and drones, the Earth still holds secrets that provoke wonder, skepticism, and endless questions. And sometimes the most enduring mysteries aren't about what we find, but why we so desperately want to believe. While Peru's Nazca Lines capture global fascination, their lesser-known cousins in Bolivia, the Sacsayhuamán Lines, form an even more expansive and mysterious web across the Altiplano's stark highlands. Spread over an astonishing 22,000 square kilometers near the Nevado Sacsayhuamán volcano, this ancient network consists of thousands upon thousands of perfectly straight paths etched into the earth, some stretching over 20 kilometers in unbroken line. Unlike Nazca's animal glyphs, these aren't figurative designs but geometric marvels, a grid so vast it's only fully visible from space, crisscrossing the landscape like a colossal spiderweb woven into the land itself. The precision of the Sacsayhuamán Lines defies easy explanation. Carved into the dark desert pavement by removing lighter-colored underlying soil, these paths maintain arrow-straight trajectories across rugged terrain, ignoring natural obstacles like hills and ravines with unnerving consistency. Many radiate outward from sacred peaks or ancient burial towers called cholpas, suggesting a ceremonial purpose, perhaps pilgrimage routes for rituals honoring mountain deities or pathways for the dead. Others align with solstice sunrises or the movements of Venus, hinting at an astronomical function woven into their design. What makes these lines particularly enigmatic is their sheer density. In some areas, they converge so tightly that the ground resembles a celestial fingerprint, with up to 20 lines intersecting in a single square kilometer. The effort required to create and maintain such a system is staggering, especially in Bolivia's oxygen-thin altitudes where every physical task becomes a struggle. Researchers estimate the lines could represent thousands of years of continuous work, generation after generation adding to the web without breaking its geometric harmony. Local Aymara communities have long revered the lines as part of their ancestral heritage, with oral traditions suggesting they were roads of the spirits, guiding souls to sacred spaces. Modern archaeologists propose more practical theories. The paths might have served as trade routes, connecting scattered settlements in this harsh environment, or as territorial markers for pastoralists herding llamas and alpacas. Some lines lead directly to water sources, raising the possibility they functioned as drought response maps during climate shifts. The most tantalizing question isn't just why they were made, but how they endured. Unlike Nazca's fragile glyphs preserved by hyper-arid conditions, the Sacsayhuamán Lines exist in a region with seasonal rains and vegetation. Yet centuries of foot traffic, whether human, animal, or something more ritualistic, have kept these pathways clear, as if the land itself remembers their purpose. Standing at an intersection of these ancient lines, with the wind howling across the plateau, you're left with the eerie sense that this isn't just art or infrastructure, it's a living language of movement and meaning, written in footsteps and star paths still waiting to be fully decoded. Among the dusty shopfronts of Ica, Peru, a collection of peculiar stones sparked one of archaeology's most heated debates. The Ica stones, etched with impossible scenes of humans battling dinosaurs, performing advanced surgeries and charting celestial maps. At first glance, they seem like the ultimate smoking gun for ancient astronaut theorists or creationists, but the truth behind these enigmatic artifacts is far more tangled. The controversy began in the 1960s when a local farmer named Basilio Ashuya claimed to have discovered thousands of these stones in a cave, though he later admitted to carving many himself. Yet even amid the admitted hoaxes, a handful of specimens defy easy dismissal, their origins and craftsmanship leaving experts genuinely stumped. Mainstream archaeologists point to overwhelming evidence of forgery, modern tool marks under microscopic analysis, anachronistic artistic styles, and the sheer volume of stones flooding the black market by the 1970s. Skeptics argue that the most sensational pieces, like those showing humans riding triceratops, copy mid-century comic book imagery rather than ancient iconography. Even Ushuaia's confession seemed damning. He demonstrated carving techniques using a dental drill and claimed he faked the stones to sell to tourists. Case closed, not quite. A small subset of Ica stones resist such straightforward debunking. These specimens, verified as pre-Columbian by independent geologists, depict more ambiguous imagery, strange hybrid creatures, geometric patterns, and what appear to be astronomical charts. Unlike the crude dinosaur carvings, these stones show where patterns consistent with centuries of aging, and their motifs align with known Andean mythologies of serpentine deities and cosmic battles. Some even mirror ancient Paracas textiles, suggesting a genuine cultural link. The most puzzling examples were allegedly unearthed from undisturbed burial sites far from Ushuaia's workshop. Then there's the question of motive. Why would a rural farmer with no formal training suddenly produce thousands of intricate carvings, some displaying knowledge of anatomy or constellations that shouldn't have been accessible to him? Could some authentic artifacts have inspired a later cottage industry of fakes? Local oral traditions speak of a legendary library of stones guarded by priests, a possible nod to a real cache of ancient engraved rocks later exploited by forgers. What lingers isn't just doubt about the stone's authenticity, but the uncomfortable gray area they inhabit. Even if 99% are modern fakes, that remaining 1% raises provocative questions. Were the real Ica stones a form of prehistoric storytelling, blending myth and observation in ways we've yet to understand? Or do they hint at lost knowledge fragments of a world where humans and megafauna coexisted in collective memory? For now, the most valuable lesson of the Ica stones might be this. In the shadow of grand hoaxes, sometimes the quietest artifacts hold the loudest secrets. In the silent streets of Mohenjo-Daro, one of the great cities of the ancient Indus Valley civilization, a chilling scene from 4,000 years ago remains frozen in time. Here, in what archaeologists call the final stratum, human skeletons lie where they fell, not in graves or ceremonial burials, but sprawled across alleys and courtyards, their postures twisted in sudden agony. Some clutch their faces as if shielding themselves from an unseen horror, while others lie in pairs, their bones intertwined like they died mid-embrace. But what makes these remains truly unsettling are the marks they bear, blackened patches on the skeletons resembling extreme thermal trauma, as if exposed to a flash of intense heat. This grim tableau has sparked a debate so volatile it splits scholars into warring camps. Did Mohenjo-Daro fall to invaders, a natural catastrophe, or something far more unsettling, an ancient cataclysm that eerily resembles the aftermath of a nuclear blast? The conventional explanation points to invasion. Some skeletons show signs of blunt force trauma, and scattered weapon fragments suggest violent conflict. Historical records from Mesopotamia speak of a mysterious Meluha, people likely the Indus Valley civilization whose trade suddenly collapsed around 1900 BC. Could Aryan invaders, as some suggest, have sacked the city? Yet this theory crumbles under scrutiny. Though weapons are few and scattered, no mass graves of warriors exist, and the city's treasures, precious metals, intricate seals, were left untouched. If this was war, why no spoils? Natural disaster offers another angle. The region sits on seismic fault lines, and some researchers propose a sudden earthquake or methane explosion from riverbed gases. The burns, perhaps caused by fires sparked by toppled oil lamps. But this doesn't explain the radiation-like patterns on the bones concentrated on one side of the bodies, as if exposed to a directional blast. Even more puzzling, structures near the skeletons show vitrification, a glass-like fusion of bricks that typically requires temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Celsius, far hotter than ordinary fires. Then there's the most controversial theory, an ancient high-energy event. In 1966, British researcher David Davenport noted striking parallels between Mohenjo-Daro's ruins and Hiroshima's aftermath: partially melted walls, shadows of objects burned into stone, and the eerie absence of typical blast craters. Ancient Hindu texts like the Mahabharata describe celestial weapons with terrifying precision: an iron thunderbolt, a blazing column of smoke and flame, and victims whose hair and nails fell out days later, symptoms hauntingly similar to radiation poisoning. Could these be garbled accounts of a real technological disaster? Mainstream science dismisses this as fantasy, but the anomalies persist. Soil samples from the site show higher than normal background radiation, and localized ash layers suggest an intense, sudden conflagration confined to specific areas. What lingers isn't just the mystery of how Mohenjo-Daro fell, but why its end feels so disturbingly modern. In a city famed for advanced drainage systems and egalitarian urban planning, we're left with ruins that whisper of a final moment frozen between history and myth. Whether by human violence, geological fury, or something beyond our current understanding, Mohenjo-Daro stands as a grim reminder that even the most sophisticated civilizations can vanish in the blink of an eye, leaving behind only bones and questions that refuse to stay buried. In the quiet town of Homestead, Florida, a Latvian immigrant named Edward Līdzkalnis left behind one of the most baffling construction projects of the 20th century. A sprawling complex of sculpted coral rock he called Rock Gate Park, now famously known as Coral Castle. Between 1923 and 1951, working entirely alone under the cover of night, Līdzkalnis single-handedly quarried, carved, and arranged over 1,000 tons of oolitic limestone into massive walls, furniture, and even a functioning sundial accurate within 2 minutes. The truly mind-bending part: he claimed to have done it all by harnessing the secrets of ancient civilizations, using techniques that defied conventional physics methods he cryptically referred to as understanding the laws of weight and leverage. Witnesses reported seeing him work with nothing more than homemade tools, rusted chains, wooden tripods, and metal rods, yet somehow maneuvering blocks weighing up to 30 tons as if they were made of foam. One of the most staggering feats, a 9-ton revolving gate so perfectly balanced that a child could push it open with a single finger despite its massive weight. When asked how he achieved this, Līdzkalnis would only smile and say he knew how the Egyptians built the pyramids. Mainstream engineers have spent decades trying to reverse engineer his methods, and the results are humbling. Even with modern cranes and hydraulics, replicating his precision would be a challenge, let alone doing it solo, without electricity or heavy machinery. Theories about his techniques range from the plausible to the fantastical. Some suggest he used clever pulley systems and counterweights, exploiting the coral's porousness to reduce friction. Others point to his fascination with magnetism. Līdzkalnis published pamphlets on electromagnetic currents, and odd devices found in his workshop hint at experiments with unseen forces. Then there are the wilder speculations that he tapped into anti-gravity technology, sonic levitation, or even metaphysical energy, aligning stones with Earth's magnetic fields. Skeptics argue he simply worked slowly and methodically, using basic physics tricks lost on casual observers. But that doesn't explain how he transported massive blocks from miles away without leaving tracks or witnesses, a feat he allegedly accomplished by loading them onto a makeshift trailer and moving them under moonlight, telling no one. What lingers isn't just the mystery of technique, but the man himself. Līdzkalnis was a deeply private figure, driven by a broken heart. He built Coral Castle as a monument to a lost love, a 16-year-old sweetheart who left him at the altar. His writings blend cryptic scientific musings with poetic heartache, suggesting his work was as much an emotional release as an engineering puzzle. Before his death in 1951, he boasted that he'd taken his secrets to the grave, and so far he's kept that promise. Today, visitors can still swing the 9-ton gate with a gentle push, or marvel at rocking chairs carved from solid stone that move without grinding, tiny miracles that defy explanation. Coral Castle stands as both a monument to human ingenuity and a riddle wrapped in coral and moonlight, daring us to wonder whether some secrets aren't just lost to time, but waiting to be rediscovered by those willing to question the impossible. Nestled inside a chunk of Cretaceous-era rock, the London Hammer is the kind of discovery that makes archaeologists and geologists alike do a double take. Found in 1936 by hikers near London, Texas, this seemingly ordinary tool, a 6-inch wooden handle attached to an iron hammerhead, shouldn't exist. Not because hammers are rare, but because the rock encasing it dates back over 400 million years, a time when dinosaurs hadn't even evolved, let alone humans capable of forging metal. So how does a tool straight out of a 19th century workshop end up sealed inside ancient stone? The answer depends on who you ask, and the debate has raged for decades. The hammer's defenders argue it's a smoking gun for lost human civilizations or even extraterrestrial visitors. The iron head, when analyzed, shows unusual purity with no detectable sulfur or carbon impurities, a level of metallurgy supposedly impossible for its claimed age. Even the wooden handle, though partially petrified, retains traces of its original structure, a preservation anomaly considering the surrounding rock's age. Some researchers point to similar, out-of-place artifacts worldwide, suggesting our timeline of human technological development might be missing entire chapters. Could advanced cultures have risen and fallen in deep prehistory, leaving only scattered clues like this hammer behind? Skeptics, however, propose a far simpler explanation. The hammer isn't nearly as old as the rock around it. They argue that the tool likely dates to the 19th century, dropped or discarded near a mineral-rich stream where dissolved limestone seeped into cracks and hardened around it, creating the illusion of antiquity. This process, known as concretion, is common in the region. Water deposits layers of sediment that cement objects together over decades, not millennia. As for the iron's purity, early American smiths occasionally produced high-quality wrought iron with low impurities, especially in small batches, yet the mystery lingers. Independent tests on the hammer's encasement show mineral layers consistent with slow, ancient formation, not rapid concretion. And if the hammer was a recent inclusion, why does the rock show no signs of fractures or seams where the tool could have been inserted? The debate becomes a microcosm of a larger question in archaeology. How do we distinguish between genuine anomalies and misinterpreted mundanities? The London Hammer's true significance might lie not in its age, but in what it reveals about our relationship with the unexplained. For some, it's proof that history is far stranger than textbooks allow. For others, it's a cautionary tale about reading too much into natural oddities. But one thing's certain when you hold this humble tool: its weight feels heavier than iron. It carries the burden of possibility, a reminder that the past might still have surprises tucked away in its rocky layers, waiting for the right moment to shake our understanding of time itself. From the Antikythera Mechanism's celestial precision to the unnerving perfection of Costa Rica's stone spheres, these 25 ancient enigmas don't just defy explanation, they rewrite the rules of history itself. Each one stands as a crack in the foundation of what we think we know, whispering that our ancestors might have grasped concepts we're only rediscovering today. Consider the sheer range of these mysteries: the Baghdad Battery's whispers of forgotten electricity, Göbekli Tepe's temple built by hunter-gatherers, the Piri Reis Map's impossible Antarctica. How could so many disparate cultures, separated by continents and millennia, leave behind puzzles that still stump modern science? What binds them together isn't just their strangeness, but what they reveal about human curiosity. These weren't accidents, they were deliberate creations, investments of generations. The Longyou Caves' million cubic meters of excavated stone, the Nazca Lines' sprawling celestial code, the Moai's buried bodies, these weren't casual projects. They scream intentionality, a message cast across time that we've yet to fully decipher. And perhaps that's the point. Maybe these artifacts were never meant to be solved, only to remind us that every era believes it's the apex of knowledge, only for future generations to smile at our certainty. The real treasure here isn't in finding answers, but in the questions themselves. What if the Dendera reliefs really do depict ancient light bulbs? Could the Dropa stones hold fragments of a catastrophic extraterrestrial encounter? These possibilities force us to stay humble, to accept that history isn't a fixed record but a living debate. For every textbook timeline, there's a Tarim mummy with European features in Bronze Age China, or a coral castle built by one heartbroken man using physics we can't replicate. So let these mysteries ignite your imagination. Share in the comments which one haunts you most. Is it the eerie precision of Sacsayhuamán's walls, the Voynich Manuscript's uncrackable language, or the radioactive shadows of Mohenjo-Daro? Whatever you choose, remember, the past isn't done surprising us. New technologies like muon imaging and AI decryption are peeling back layers we once thought permanent. Who knows what secrets tomorrow's tools might reveal? Until then, keep questioning, keep wondering, and never assume the ancient world was simpler than our own. Sometimes the most profound truth lies not in what we know, but in what we dare to ask.